Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar about script writing and when to use animation and also how to write your own scripts. So this is definitely a crash course into script writing. And for the next hour, we will hear more from Connie Malamed that I am super excited about. I think we should just wait a couple of more seconds before we kick things off. And before we do, why don't you find the chat in the lower right corner? Please just write where you're sitting today, where are you located, and I also have a challenge for you. If you want to, feel free to write from a scale to 1 to 5. How comfortable do you feel writing a script today? Are you very confident in writing a script? So that's like 1. Or 5, you are super confident. It's just good for us to see what the levels you're on. Okay, cool. I see her. Hello from Baltimore. Cool. We have from Portugal. Oh, writing a script 3 to 4. Nice. We have a number 2. Oh, we have one joining from Ethiopia. Nice. And we also have from Quebec, Canada. I am also sitting in Scandinavia, in Norway, in the capital called Oslo. Nice. We have from Oklahoma, South America, Cape Town, Belgium. Hi. So we have some, I think it's like roughly 2 to 4 in confident level. That's nice. I know perhaps after this session, you are even more comfortable. I know I will be for sure. Great. We have from Toronto, Canada. And nice one. Okay, we have South Africa. And Jody number 2, great. I love to both see where you're all sitting today and also kind of getting a feeling of how much script writing you have done before. Great. I'll just go ahead and share my slides for today. There we go. And as I mentioned, for the next hour, we will dig into script writing and learn more about how to use or when to use video and animation, and also how to write a script to make it really memorable. Most of you have found the chat. That is great. Feel free to use it throughout this webinar. It's open and available, and we will answer the chat during this session. And if I see any interesting questions, I'll make sure to also follow up on them at the end of this webinar if we have time. I would also like to add that we do have emojis. So if there is anything that resonates with you during Connie's or myself presentation, feel free to use the emojis. It's always nice to get some. There we go. You found the emoji tab. Great. It's always fun to see reactions from you and to get some feedback throughout this session. The agenda today is also fairly simple. I'll leave the word over to Connie fairly soon. And after Connie's presentation, I will do a quick, I'll show you a quick story in VR based on Connie's script. And we will also have a Q&A session at the end if we have time. So definitely worth staying till the very end. My name is Stine, and I work here at We Are Learning, and I am an instructional designer myself. And this webinar is hosted by us in We Are. And for those of you that do not know what We Are is all about, I'll quickly say that we are the next generation course authoring tool for immersive learning. So that means that with our tool, you can create 3D animated videos and scenario-based learning experience yourself. And what you create in We Are called stories, and one story can be embedded into any other LMS that you would like to. Okay, I see people still joining our webinar. That's very nice. It's also good for you to be aware that this webinar will also be sent to your email after this session. Great. Here you see my lovely colleagues. So we are a fairly international team, but most of our colleagues and myself, we are located in Scandinavia and in Norway. And today, the topic is all about scripting for video and animation and how to really get that right. Video and animation truly makes a difference when you add that to your courses. It makes it more memorable, and for sure, it also makes it more engaging. But where to start when you're writing your script, and how to evaluate if this is something that you should add to your course or not. And as an instructional designer myself, I really feel that you need to wear a lot of hats. You need to do a lot of different things. And I will strongly argue that script writing or scripting is definitely a part of that work, and also a huge part, a major thing that is very valuable to master. And when you want to create practical scenarios, you need a strong and clear message that really sticks. And how to really do that. And that is what our guest speaker today will tell us more about. And to guide us through all of this, we will talk more with Connie Malamed. She is the founder of Mastering Instructional Design, where she helps people learn and build instructional design skills. She is also a consultant, an author, and also a speaker on online learning and visual communication. She's also known as the e-learning coach for her super insightful newsletter and also podcast. So without any further ado, why don't we welcome Connie to the stage. Hi there, Connie. How are you?
How's everyone doing? It's been fun getting a chance to chat with you a little bit. Luckily, I got to get on stage because Miriam from Quebec was starting to get into some deeper French than I can understand. So now we'll have to try to respond.
Yeah, I can see that in the chat. Love it.
So I'm going to share my screen. And
yeah, but before we do that, Connie, we do have a question from the audience. I'll just quickly show that to everyone, and just to get some more insights. So, what's your biggest challenge in writing a script for training? And again, please feel free to use the chat. Is it one, structuring the script efficiently? Is it number two, deciding when not to use video? Number three, creating a clear and relevant narrative flow, or for keeping it engaging. And I think also this is probably valuable insights for you, Connie, when you're kicking off your presentation.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it looks like it's fairly well distributed. Structuring the script effectively, we're going to cover. Yeah, we're going to cover a lot of this. So I'm really glad you asked that question.
Great. I think we're good to go, Connie. And
okay.
The floor is yours.
I will share my screen. And you'll have to give me 1 minute to get set up. And, one thing I wanted to talk about as I'm getting things set up is why, why bother learning how to script and write when we have AI to do it for us? And the main reason is there's nothing wrong with using AI, but if you don't develop these skills yourself, you'll never know what to change and tweak and completely delete or keep from whatever AI source you're using. So always the first thing we need to do is be able to do it well ourselves, I think. And then we can try to use AI as an assistant if we want. It's certainly not a requirement. But I just wanted to get that question out of the way. So welcome to Crash Course in Scripting for Video and Animation. And thank you for the wonderful introduction, Stine. I thought it was so interesting that Stine, being an instructional designer like myself, had to find out about the audience. And that's exactly what I wanted to do first, because you come first. How can I speak to you without knowing that? So let's see. Or am I still sharing? Can you still see it?
Yes, we can see your slide. It says you
Okay.
first.
Hang on, let me move over to here. Got it. So I have a question that's almost exactly like Stina's, if you don't mind answering this time in chat. What's your experience with writing scripts? 1, no experience, a little experience, and 3, very experienced. Okay, so we've got a lot of 1s and 2s, and thank you for answering the same question again. And for those of you who have some experience and are very experienced, please feel free to add your guidance and your wisdom to chat to help the people in with no experience. So, okay, I'm looking at it and I see what's going on there. Thank you. So these are some of the popular types of instructional videos. There's the demonstration video where we show how to perform a task or use a product. The explainer video that breaks down complex topics. A scenario-based, where you simulate real-world situations. Role plays where characters model effective or ineffective behavior. The talking head, footage of a person speaking directly into the camera. And I have a little note in parentheses there that it can get boring, so you're probably going to want to use alternative footage, which is called B-roll, to make it interesting if you're doing a video. And a screencast where you may be recording something on screen, usually software. And then you use voiceover. So I would like to know, and can you please answer in chat, what types of videos and animations are you interested in creating? What types of videos and animations? Rocco loves role play. Let's see what else we've got here. Scenario-based, walking through instructions. Okay, great. These are good, and I'm sure that some people may not be quite sure yet. Joseph said interviews. That's pretty interesting. Role plays and scenario-based, and a lot of explainer videos too. So thank you for that. Let's just dive right in, no fluff, get into the scripting process. Here is one way that you can script. It's not the only way, but this is what I feel like is a good process. You start with an analysis, and I'll explain each one of these. You do some brainstorming, you construct the foundation, you draft the script, and you edit. And what do you know? It's A, B, C, D, E. So when you analyze your audience characteristics, your needs, your performance objectives, and your technical requirements, that gives you a good sense, a beginning, a launch pad for what you want to include in your video script and the tone, the personality that you want to use. When you brainstorm, you're generating creative ideas so that you can create a meaningful and engaging experience. When you construct, you're building the foundation with an outline and a treatment. And I'll be talking about treatments in a little while, because a lot of instructional designers are not familiar with those. When you write your draft, well, you know what that means. You go through this cycle of writing a draft, getting a feedback, revising it. Hopefully you don't have to go through that cycle too many times because you've been communicating all along. And then finally, you do a quality check and make the final revision. So that's what I feel like is a step-by-step, effective video scripting process where there aren't too many surprises. Before you can actually sit down to write a script, there's a certain amount of prep work and communicating with your client, whether internal or external, or your subject matter expert, your stakeholders, your decision makers. You want to communicate with them so that when you finally sit down to write, you don't have to rewrite very much. The first thing we have to figure out is video the appropriate format? So here are 6 reasons where you may want to use videos and perhaps animations for learning. One is to demonstrate a skill. Another is to model behavior. Videos are great for telling an action-based story. When you want to explain something visually, when you want to record a screen, and when you want to interview experts. Before you begin scripting, it's great to get approval of a rough outline. The outline doesn't have to have a lot of detail. It's not like an outline perhaps that you did in school, but a rough outline to give the general idea and approach to make sure you and your client or stakeholder are on the same page. Then you can write a treatment, which is a nice summary of the creative and practical approach that you're taking. And I actually have a treatment document I can show you. And some people will like to storyboard at this stage. It's a little bit different than an e-learning storyboard. But if you need to think things through, or if you feel like you need to communicate more effectively, you may want to create a storyboard too. So let's talk about the treatment. It's a written summary that communicates your vision of the video to stakeholders, clients, and production teams. And I think it's really important to realize that you are a unique individual and you are going to have a vision of the video that's different than anyone else's vision. So I just hope you have confidence in the fact that you are unique and you're going to come up with something that is different than what anyone else would do. So here's an example of a video treatment. And honestly, you can put whatever you need to put in the video treatment to communicate your ideas. This is an example. The video title, you're basically summarizing or giving an overview. The target audience, the length of the video or videos, the performance objectives. And now we know that very early in the process, in the design process, we need to know what the accessibility requirements are and how we're going to meet them. Then perhaps a description. And if there will be talent, actors, people you'll be interviewing, include them too. And by the way, I have a PDF of these slides for you. Another thing you want to do before you start scripting is to identify what already exists and what will you need to use. Do you need to use the logo and branding? Does the organization, in particular the marketing group, do they have a lot of photos that you can use? Or do they have access to a high-end photo subscription service that you didn't even know your organization had? They may have access to video footage that you can use too. So check that out before you start scripting, because you would put that in the script. And then if your script is going to be on location, if your shoot is going to be on location, you really want to find out a few things so that you can write and won't need to rewrite later. I have had that experience. First of all, do you need permission to film there? I thought I would be okay filming in a hospital lobby, and I wasn't. I needed permission to film there. What about the weather? Are you planning on interviewing people outside or showing things outside? And it just so happens that it's a rainy season? That's not going to work out, so you'll have to have an alternate location. Is there room in an office? When you're interviewing an expert, they're often too busy to come to your location. So when you go to their location, you have to look at their office. Is it messy? Is there actually room to set up a camera? Is it too noisy to record audio? Perhaps you were going to have construction workers discuss something on site, some safety information. And it turns out that it's too noisy to record there, and you need to get their voiceover in a quiet studio. Can you change the set? I've worked places where they actually have their own set, but it was all set up. So can you change it to meet your needs? And finally, you may want to find out if there's enough light. Now, for those of you who are experienced, or for anyone who may have some ideas, is there anything else you would try to find out about locations ahead of time? And Glenn says, we'll find Rocco says accessibility guidelines will apply for creating and constructing videos too. Good point. Anything else that you would add? Security and access to the site. Yes, security is a good one. Safety considerations, like will you need to wear protective equipment or protective clothing? Releases for people who may be in the background. That's a really good point. And you also need releases for the people you're interviewing. Have a plan B and a plan C for everything. You can tell that's an experienced person. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about the structure of the script. There's a standard script structure. There's a standard act structure where it comes in 3 parts. Act 1 is, in video language, is going to be the hook. Act 2 is the body of the video. And Act 3 is the closing. So for the hook, we want to grab attention, evoke interest, and suggest what the video is about so people know what they're getting. In the body, we've got the main content, and this is the part that most people think about. The explanation, a demonstration, perhaps if it's a scenario, some type of dramatic conflict or challenge. And then in the closing, we want to summarize, resolve any issues, especially if there was conflict, and a call to action. And that's more or less frequently thought of as a marketing term, but it's something that can really be good to use in training videos. And I like what Rocco says, AI can give you good ideas for hooking your audience. Yep, I agree with that. So the hook sets the tone. Here are some examples. You can present a compelling problem. Ever wonder why your course isn't engaging learners? Maybe that would make you want to watch it. You can present a surprising statistic. Did you know instructional designers spend 110% of their time looking for stock photos? Okay, but make sure your statistic is true and honest and accurate. Or you can tell a short, relatable story. Meet Devin. She didn't think she needed to wear a hard hat in the warehouse. Then her forklift tipped over. So I want to show you 2 video hooks. And after each one, I'd like for you to answer this question in chat. Do you think this is an effective way to start a training video, and why?
After reading tons of productivity books, I came across so many rules, like the 2-year rule, the 5-minute rule. the 5-second rule? No, not that 5-second rule. The problem is that these rules are meant for companies or entrepreneurs, but I was able to adapt them to my studies during med school and drastically cut down on my procrastination. So I'm going to share with you 2 different 2-minute rules for the next 2 minutes.
So that was a productivity hook from a previous med student, and you know how much they have to study. Answer in chat. Was this an effective way to start a training video? Why or why not? Did you like that way of starting a video? Trish liked the numbers. Jen thinks that it is an effective way. Someone has already watched this videos. Well, then you must be quite a productive person. Yeah, I think generally people felt that it was good. And, even though it was a talking head throughout his video, he has these little graphics popping up that attract your attention and make it kind of humorous and lighthearted. So I think he knows what he's doing. Now I want to show you one more. It's a little bit loud. It's a persuasive video to try to get people to take this visual design course with a very famous visual designer, graphic designer. And I actually did take this course, but I'm curious what you think about this for a persuasive video.
Everything is designed. Everything that you read is designed. Anything that is a sign on the street is designed. When you start a project, you really need to know 2 important things. I'm going to help you do that. I've been a working designer for over 50 years, and I want to share that with you and teach you what I know. If something is big, something has to be little. If 2 things are big, there has to be more white space around it. Let's look at 3 E's. The best way to break the rules is to make mistakes.
A little bit different, a little loud. What do you think about this as an effective way to start a persuasive video? Horrible, ouch, chaotic. Some people really liked it. Cognitive overload, in your face. It was in your face, marketing oriented. And that's true. It was a persuasive video to get you to sign up for the course. Felt like Times Square, exactly. And she is in New York. It got my attention. So I thought this one is controversial. I love it, but I know a lot of people don't. Overwhelming, and it does give you some cognitive overload. Some people had to look away. Wow. So, okay. This is why I don't go to large gym classes. Well, now some of you know what to do, and it's a little intense, but I just wanted to show you 2 different types of hooks. Now, let's mellow things out a little bit and get into the script structure, the body and the closing. One of the main rules and guidelines of using video is that you always want to show rather than tell. Sometimes, of course, you do need to tell, but whenever you can show, that's your first option because it is a visual medium. So what it means is don't just present information, demonstrate the information. Don't just explain how characters feel, show it by how they act. Here's some examples and some guidelines. When you have a long video, you want to break the content into digestible bites, and you can use visual cues to separate them. Another great way to show your main content is to model the ideal behaviors or to demonstrate how to perform a task. And finally, this is a common one. Use a relatable scenario showing a challenge, a conflict, or obstacle that a character must overcome. All of these involve showing. Now, for the call to action, the CTA, this isn't the only way to do a closing, but I think that it's interesting and it's something we can do more of in training videos. So you can use the closing to resolve stories and scenarios, to summarize what the viewer just learned, and these are more typical approaches, to reinforce the value of what they just learned. Now here's the CTA, to guide them to the next logical step. Great question, Sandra. What do you mean by visual cues to separate them? I mean, there are ways to put make a different colored background. You can use an icon. Do something in that 2-minute example. If you watch the rest of that video, he shows a book. A book pops up that is the source of the first rule, and then another book pops up to show the source of the second rule. So that's what I mean. Let's look at some calls to action. Here's an example. Now check your inbox. Can you spot any potential phishing emails? So this is what you would do at the end of your video. Here's another ending that asks the learner to take the next logical step. Walk through your work area today and identify 3 potential hazards you hadn't noticed. Share them with your team. And here's a reflection. Pause and reflect. When have you witnessed bias at work? What was your response? What could you do differently now? Those are all examples of calls to action that you can use in training. And I have an example of one. Let's see if we have time to watch it. Yep, we do. It's only 34 seconds. So this is the very end of a training video on techniques that you can use to give a presentation. And these are techniques that were validated by experts.
The next time you give a presentation, try to record it, then review the video with the sound off, watching only your body language. How did you stand and gesture? Did you use any of these positions? If not, think about how you might do so the next time you're in front of an audience, or even just speaking to your boss or a big client. Practice in front of a mirror, then with friends, until these positions feel natural. Nonverbal communication won't necessarily make or break you as a leader, but it can help you achieve more successful outcomes.
Okay, so there's an example of wrapping things up and giving people instructions on what to do next. What did you think of this as a call to action or next logical step? I'll be watching chat. And also, thank you, Kirk, for mentioning that everyone should be careful about background colors because they can be inaccessible, in particular for people who have color deficiency, I think it's called now. But anyway, what people call color blindness. So what do you think about this for a CTA? Okay. Well done. Thumbs up. Lots of thumbs ups. Kirk mentions Toastmasters, and I did finish a Toastmasters course years ago, and it really was helpful. That's an international organization that helps people with speaking, public speaking. Okay, so as people are giving their answers as to what they think of CTAs, I have one more question for you. Now that you've seen how to make a call to action or a next logical step in training parlance, do you think that you can use that in your video scripting for those who are experienced? Let me know if you think that's something you can add to yours. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Let's look at script formatting and conventions. Oh, wow. I'm happy a lot of people think they can add that. So I am not sure how you've done your video scripting, but here's an example of a very common approach to training video scripts. You've got 2 columns, visuals on the left, audio on the right. Sometimes people switch them. It doesn't really matter. In the visuals column, you can put the camera shot, any images that are going to be there, any B-roll or alternative footage. And in the audio section, you will have not only who's speaking, but whether it's a voiceover, sound effects, and music, anything that for the ear. Now, if you really have to get tight, oh, and by the way, Stine has taken this script and turned it into a 3D animation. So that's going to be exciting. We'll be seeing that soon. Another approach is to add a third column with timing. And if you have a really tight timing constraint, I would suggest adding that. And you often want to do this with animation. And then some people really get into video storyboarding. It looks different than an e-learning storyboard. You just sketch out, and you can use stick figures if you're not an artist, and geometric shapes. That works fine. And underneath that, in the lines, you can write what's going on screen. This can help you think it through. This can help someone understand your project. So you may want to create a video storyboard too. And before I pass this on to Stine, I just want to mention that it's really important to write for the ears and not the eyes. So you always have to read your script aloud. You know, sometimes you don't even realize it, but if you're using a professional narrator or anyone who's doing voiceover, you may have some tongue twisters in there. You may have some sentences that don't flow. You may have some alliterations that are difficult to pronounce. So always think about writing for the ears and read your script aloud. I'd like to wrap up with some evidence-based guidelines, some research-based guidelines for writing video scripts and animation too. Break content into small, digestible chunks. Use conversational language. Speak in terms of you and we. All of these have shown to be effective in educational and training video scripts. Avoid reading text that is already on the screen. Although in some cases you may need to, but that's a general rule that it gets a little bit boring for people. Support learner control. So if it's an animation, if it's a video, allow learners to control, to rewind in case they miss something, to fast forward to get to the spot where they left off. Use realistic or human elements, and they find that using these agents, as some research calls them, personalizes the experience for people, whether they are animated or in video with real people. And finally, use visual cues like arrows and highlights to guide attention when the screen is complex. That stops people from looking all over the place. So if you would like to stay in touch, one way to do that is to join my newsletter, the elearningcoach.com/newsletter. And I always send a gift, and this time the gift for the next few months is 100 freebies for learning design. And if you want to upgrade your ID skills or just want to chat, here is Mastering Instructional Design, the community that I founded 6 years ago and I run. And I wanted to thank everyone for being so participatory. I loved it. You're a great audience. And I think I'll answer one quick question. Do you have any tips on how scripts should be prepared for professional voiceover artists? Yes. Can you email me and I will send that to you? Basically, you take all the visuals off and you make it all audio for them and for the particular narrator. If you have 5 characters, you give each character their own script. And Stine, I think we're ready for you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Connie. This was super insightful, and I love the examples, and also that people were a bit disagreeing if they liked one of the examples you were showing.
Love it too.
Yeah, it's funny to see yeah, how different people are. And also I like that you say, like, you need to trust your vision. You started off with that one, and I think it's important to be reminded, especially for instructional designers. It's easy to be unsure, and but you kind of see the full picture, and your vision is often something you should trust. So that's a good advice. I do have one follow-up question, that is in regards to sharing your slides. You mentioned also sharing PDF. There was one comment about that. How is it? Are you sharing any slides or PDF after?
I will send them to you, and since you're sending it a recording, if that's okay with you, and then you can send it on.
For sure. We'll see if we can add it to the recording that's been sent off after this webinar.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see if we can manage to do that.
And if not, I can give a link and I can get it online for everyone. So one way or the other, I'll make sure they get the slides.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. I'll take it from here and showing off a story that I have created based on Connie's script. So here we're going back to spotting fraud in banking. So I'm going to switch over to We Are, seeing if I can share my screen. I see you're sharing your screen, Connie, but I guess I can just exit out. Let me see here. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I would love to show off a story, but before I do, I'll just quickly say that I have given myself some creative freedom. Connie gave me a script that we have gone through for this session as well. But with We Are, you can also add interactivity, and that is more storyboarding that Connie also quickly touched upon. But well, I guess that we can leave that one out for another webinar. But just have that in mind. Most of the story I have created is a linear story, so an animation videos where two people are talking together. But at the very end, I have added some interactivity, also just for showing you what possibilities you have in We Are. And just also after my session, we will, of course, save some time Q&A session. So if you have any more questions to Connie, feel free to write it in the chat now. I guess you can also answer during my demo. If not, we will make sure to follow up on those after as well. Okay. There we go. I am quickly showing off this story. So again, I'm gonna play it all through and showing you how easy it is for you as well to create this story in seconds.
Fraud can happen in any bank on any day, and sometimes it's not about what you see, but what you notice. Meet Amani, a skilled bank teller with a sharp eye and strong instincts. Today, she'll encounter a situation that many might miss. Let's see Amani's experience and how easy it is to experience fraud.
Hi there. I'd like to take out $4,900 from my account, please. Should be all set. I've got my ID right here. Just need to grab a few things today. You know how it is.
Strange. Just under $5,000? That's suspicious. The ID looks fine, but let me double check. It is close, but the signature doesn't match our records.
Amani's alert to two key warning signs here. First, the withdrawal amount, just under the reporting threshold. That's a common tactic to avoid detection. Second, the mismatched information. Even small inconsistencies can signal fraud. This is when it's smart to slow down and verify.
I just need to confirm a couple of details before I can process this.
Ah, come on. I'm in a hurry. I'm this close to losing it. Can you just give me the cash already? I don't have time for this.
What do you think Amani should do in this situation?
Calmly acknowledge the urgency, but explain she needs to verify a few details first.
Correct. Staying calm and following protocol helps protect both the customer and the bank. Let's see it play out.
I understand you're in a rush, but I just need to verify a few details first. It won't take long.
Yes, there we go. So this was definitely a sneak peek into what you can do in We Are. So following up with what Connie has been talking about, this is a tool where you can make your own video animation yourself within seconds. So this is just to give you some idea of what you can create yourself. I will not use that much more time in We Are, but I just want to quickly show to you that this is behind the scenes. So what you see here is our node map. And I can zoom out so you kind of see the story, how it plays through the different nodes. And also here at the end, we have added some interactivity, so more of a branch scenario where the learners need to choose where to go next. And also just to show you, our characters are all in 3D, so you can move them around, place them anywhere you would like to. And also with our tool, it is super easy to animate them. So here you kind of see what goes on behind the scenes. You do have the different body postures, so how they're standing, where you can also go ahead and give them all sorts of feelings. And of course, you can also change their facial expressions and also play around with different gestures here. There we go. These ones are very fun to play around with. We have our library is over 100 different gestures that you can choose from, and they are recorded by something called the motion capture suite. So it's very easy for us to add further gestures here. And I see we do have some questions here at the chat. This is We Are, and my colleague Glenn here will also answer questions if you have any about our tool. But that being said, it's super easy for you also to create this yourself. It's very visual tool where you just add the different nodes after each other, and here you can also branch out if you like. And if you're creating a linear animation videos, you can record these stories and download them to your computer as an MP4 file. But you can also go ahead here and publish the story where you get the player URL, and you can embed it into any LMS or any other platform that you will like. And we also, of course, offer integration with LMS. So you have a link here, a player link, embed code, and also SCORM export. So those things exist. Great. I'll leave the demo here, but I'll also at the end also share with you a webinar coming up where I will go more into details on how you create a story yourself within seconds. Okay, Connie, I think it would be great if you just join me back on stage, and we do have time for some questions, and I'm very happy about that. We normally don't have time for it, so that's very nice. What do you think about the story?
Oh, well, are you asking me or in chat?
I think we can do both.
Okay.
If you have anything you're wondering about, any feedback, that's very much appreciated. And Connie, do you have any input, anything you want to add?
It was fun to take the video script and then turn it into something interactive like e-learning. Everyone knows that interactivity is a great way to get people involved in learning, and so I really like it. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Great. And I do have a question about your presentation, and I prepared one question about. Do you have any reflections or thought on the biggest mistakes instructional designers can make when writing a script for animation? Do you have any? I guess you have some insights here as well.
For animation, video, or both, are you talking about?
I would say let's go for video.
Okay. I mean, a lot of it is the converse of what I was saying makes it good. A lot of people are so used to writing for the eyes. I mean, you go through all of your schooling and university writing, to be read. And so it's a whole new skill to be able to write for audio. So you really have to cut out a lot of words and constantly read aloud. So that's one big mistake. And perhaps another is to just go on too long. People get bored pretty easily. I know in my podcast years ago, I interviewed Jonathan Halls, who was a scriptwriter and video specialist. And he said that it only takes like a few minutes before people are bored. So you really want to put in that alternate footage. Someone did ask a question about AI, and I had mentioned that at the front of the presentation, but I'll just say real quickly, somebody was saying, can you use ChatGPT for scripting? You can, but you want to make sure that the script is engaging, accurate. So you need to know how to script to be able to judge whether AI is writing a good script, an effective script. And one, what does AI know about learning? I'm not sure. So you want to make sure it's good for learning.
Yeah. And I was also, after when you had your presentation, you talked about when to use video. When is video a good idea? Do you have any thoughts about when not to use videos?
Well, I know one big situation that I've been in a lot of times. There is a CEO or head of some big department who wants to talk for 10 minutes at the start of an e-learning course in a video. And that's not a great time, unless you have a lot of really fascinating footage to show while the person is speaking. It can get boring and turn people off to the whole course. So talking head videos, you have to find some way to make it interesting. So that's one example. Another is if you're not demonstrating anything, if there's not a real story there, would be another time. What about you? What do you think?
I am more cautious about our attention span. So how long can this video be? Like it's not that many minutes. You can actually have the learners connected and invested in a video before it turns boring. So I think most things can be a video, but it's all about making it engaging and maybe unpredictable in a way as well.
Yeah, novelty. I did see some research on MOOCs, and the research showed that shorter videos are better.
Yeah,
and retained more.
And maybe having more of those than few and very long ones.
Right.
I guess it's a discussion if we have the goldfish attention span or not.
I guess so, although that one's been debunked.
Absolutely. And I think that's wise.
If someone's really interested in something, fascinated by it, they're going to hang on there.
Yes, 100%. Okay, great. I think let's round up here. The chat has been alive throughout this webinar, and that's been really cool to see. People been engaged, and I think most of you have had your questions answered. Right. I don't know if you have any other questions you would like to answer, Connie?
I'm not seeing any there. There was the ChatGPT one. Somebody asked, would you have real quickly, someone asked if you would have a different script for narrators, and you would. You would also, if you were working with a production team, you would make a script for all the location shots by location, because if you're in one area of, say, a building, you want to get everything done. So often, if it's a complex video, you will shoot out of order. You'll shoot by location rather than moving people back and forth. So that would be another type of script. So there are several scripts that you might write. That would make a great blog post. I think I'll do that.
Love it. Thank you so much for your insight, Connie. It's been a true pleasure, and I've definitely learned a lot. And it's been a really nice step-by-step guide, and for sure a crash course into how to get started writing your script. And yeah, it was very well. It was easy to follow. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you, and what great participants we have. And I too enjoyed the people who didn't like things, and just that's always fun.
Good. Okay, so rounding up here, thank you once again, Connie, so much for joining us today. And if you are curious and want to learn more, please reach out to her on LinkedIn. I have a QR code here to her LinkedIn profile if you want to connect with her. And she also have a great website called the eLearning Coach. I know my colleague here, Maria, will share a link to it. And also she has this website called Mastering Instructional Design. So feel free to check them out as well. Okay, and the very end here, we do have some webinars coming up from We Are side. So 17th of June, me and my colleague Lars Petter, he's the CPO of the company, we will create an interactive scenario live, and we will show you different hacks on how you can create content faster with We Are. And he's definitely he's a pro in We Are, and know all the different things you can do, and it's always very engaging and fun to see him playing around in We Are. And one other thing, 2nd of July, I'm having the monthly Getting Started webinar. And this is a great webinar if you want to learn more about We Are and really showing or seeing how it's done live. So in this webinar, I will go step by step how you create a story and showing you all the basic features you need to be aware of to create a story yourself. And if you want to check out We Are, you can go to our website. We do offer a 2-week trial period that is free, and you don't need to register a credit card. So feel free to check that out as well. Great. I see Maria has shared her 2 links if you want to join. And all our webinars are free. And if the time is not perfect, of course, you will get the recording sent to your email after. Okay, so we do also offer a community for those that have a We Are account, and this is truly a space for learning designers. They are discussing both We Are and also learning trends. So if you are part of We Are, please feel free to also join our community and check out what's going on there as well. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We Are Learning on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, We Are Learning. Okay, that's it. Thank you once again, Connie, for your great insight. Feel free to join me on stage, Connie, if there is anything you would like to add in the end here. Happy to set aside some time if you want to add anything. If not, I can round up here. Oh, there you are. Hey.
Hey, I just wanted to thank all the participants for being so wonderful and very involved. That makes it so much more fun for the presenter, and everyone learns too. Everyone learns more. So that's all I had to say.
Great. Thank you so much, Connie. Then I wish all of you rest a good day, a good afternoon for others. I hope you are feeling inspired to start testing out script writing yourself. Here's a QR code if you want to know more about We Are, and feel free to email me or connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Okay, wishing you all a great day. Bye-bye.